Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well on this Saturday morning. I said I would try to do a nutritional slash demo video for you today to kind of round out Nutrition Month. And I didn't get much advice or requests for what I should do. But I did have one person say, what can we do that's nutritious and to make things stretch further while we're on quarantine, isolation, social distancing, while we're in the coronavirus pandemic of 2020. And I think that's very valid and very important. I know I myself am on a very tight budget right now, and there are a lot of things that are not in our grocery stores right now, and we've had to adapt and adjust. And one of the biggest things that's short in our stores here in Virginia is meat. And for those of you who don't know, I don't eat pork or beef in any shape or form. That even includes like if there's any trace of pork casings or flavoring or anything, I don't eat any of that. So I'm like really strict on that. So I only eat chicken and fish and turkey. There's been plenty of ground turkey, and that's great, but sometimes that can be a little bit more expensive, and I know some people have lost their jobs. They're waiting on unemployment to come through. So I, on my meal plan for this weekend, am planning to do an asparagus alfredo with chicken, but this could easily be subbed with chickpeas. And I love using chickpeas in Italian cooking for various reasons. They can be altered to any flavor, and that's why I love them. And the key for using them in this dish would be to drain them, rinse them, season them, and roast them before you incorporate them in your dish so that the flavor is really enhanced. And I will talk about how to do that in a second. I had some chicken left over this week, luckily, so I don't have to tap into my very limited supply. And that was just basically seasoned with some leaf oregano, garlic powder, onion powder, basil, parsley, thyme, and rosemary. Rosemary. And these created a really great flavor. It made the chicken very robust, and that's why I'm going to be able to transfer it to my asparagus alfredo that I'm making. This time I'm not making my sauce from scratch. A lot of people know that I cook a lot of different things from scratch, but this time I'm having a little bit of a lupus flare, so my hands aren't able to do as much. But definitely going to use a really great alternative jar sauce. And I stumbled across this a while ago. It is Simple Truth roasted garlic alfredo sauce. I like it because you can essentially pronounce everything that's in the ingredients. It's gluten-free, which is important for a lot of people, but it's real ingredients. It's not a lot of chemicals. So this is my go-to store-bought alfredo sauce. It is a little bit more expensive, but of course it would be because it's real ingredients. Things that we have in our pantries. This is going to be what we're relying on right now in the midst of our pandemic. This is going to be the, Lord, what can I throw together with what's in there? And I had some whole wheat penne in my cabinet, and that's what I'm going to be using for some of my noodles, but I'm going to actually surprise you with what the rest of my noodles are going to be. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to roast your chickpeas. And the awesome part is even if you don't use all of the roasted chickpeas in this recipe, you can use them in salads. You can just eat them as a snack because they crisp up really, really great. I preheated my oven to 425 degrees. That's going to be really, really important because you need that high heat to really make a crispy chickpea. So I'm going to get my colander. Give me a second here. Which is full of sweet potatoes at the moment because root vegetables last a lot longer right now. And if you've been following my blog, you would know I'm a fan of sweet potatoes. And our sweet potatoes are good for us. And it's a really good vegetable to have on hand right now. It steadies the blood sugars for those who might be diabetic. Full of a lot of nutrients. And it's a food that's on the autoimmune protocol, which I try to follow to help with my inflammation. And I just opened my can of chickpeas, trying to get them all out here. Put them in my colander. I'm going to drain and rinse them to get whatever might be on them. And those extra casings that come off. And I always give a good shake. Okay, so I've got a bowl here. And we're going to take the bowl and put our chickpeas in it. A little bit of oil. Put about 2 capfuls in. Because you don't want to put too much in. You may have remembered from my sweet potato fry recipe, we didn't do too much. Flavorings are going to be the same as that I use for my chicken. So I'm going to put some garlic powder in. And this is your recipe. You feel free to do as much or as little as you want based on how you want them to taste. Some oregano. And oregano is really good for you. It has anti-inflammatory properties, so I tend to use a little bit more of that. Some onion powder. A little bit of rosemary. I'm going to forgo the pepper on these because I don't want that much spice, but I'm going to use some thyme. A little bit of parsley. And some basil. Let's get the other end here. Struggling this morning. Okay. And I am going to put a pinch of salt to balance things out, literally a little pinch. Okay. I've got a spoon. Mix everything up together so your peas are evenly coated. Because you want all that flavor. And whatever you don't use, you can also freeze these as well. So, got a pan, foil line. You don't need to put any more oil on it because the oil has coated the chickpeas, and you want to do a thin layer so that they can roast evenly. Guys, it smells so good with all the different spices and herbs. Can't wait for these to be finished. It smells even better once you roast them. Okay, we're going to put these in the oven. And I'm setting a little timer so I don't forget. It normally takes about 30 minutes or so for them to get crisp. So we're done with that, so we can put this in the sink. Now, asparagus, I said asparagus alfredo, but this is going to be a little bit different. I am going to shave my asparagus to do a type of asparagus noodle to complement my whole wheat rotini noodles. I am rationing so that I have enough so that my food goes a little bit further. You don't have to do this. This is something I surely am choosing to do. But the grocery stores have limited supplies, and we can mix and match different things to create different flavors, but also to stretch our food a little bit more. So this is about a cup of pasta, and then I'm going to use some asparagus to round this out, and then I'm also getting additional nutritional flavor and benefit. Let me get my asparagus. As you may know, asparagus should be kept in the fridge upright in a cup of water, which is what I've been doing. Stays fresh longer that way. Got my cutting board here because I'm going to save the tips. And we're going to saute those with some onions for our actual recipe. And for the purpose of this recipe, I'm just going to do the basics of the prep. And we're not going to do the whole recipe for you guys today, but I will post later the finished recipe, the finished product, so you can see what it looks like. So we're just going to take a couple of spears out. You don't need the whole bunch. That's the awesome part about turning these into little ribbons. And if you have a spiralizer, you can use that too, or a mandolin. So move my rubber band down here and put my bouquet of asparagus, and I'm going to rinse these off. So I use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And we're going to scrub these good in warm water. And I'm actually going to pat them dry because you don't want this to be too soggy. I already broke off one tip, but that's okay. I got a bowl for my tips that I'm going to cut off. My knives have been disappearing on me, so bear with me. Okay. All right. So one tip done. 2. And asparagus was on sale this week. That's why we chose it. But you can do this with spinach. You can do this with broccoli. Is really, really good to do this with. And any other like rooty vegetable or wholesome vegetable that you would like. All right, ribbons. So be patient. This is a process. Make sure you put the asparagus down on a firm surface, and you're going to press hard with your vegetable peeler. And you just go and you create a ribbon. It's kind of fun. You will get a lot out of this, I promise. And when you get kind of to the end of the actual stock, you just chop the rest up so that we can use it. And it'll let you know when it's kind of done being ribboned. Now I'm going to show you another way that I learned to do it that was much easier and faster than the vegetable peeler in a second. Oopsie. So one is kind of done. Moving on to 2. Kind of therapeutic. So we're just going through each one here. I know it's like, goodness, girl, what are you doing? You're not really talking to us. And I'm going to show you, this is what my ribbons look like. And they're so nice and thin and flexible. And let me tell you, when you cook them up, they cook up really nicely in like little ribbons. And it's amazingly wonderful. Now, you have a vegetable peeler. Another device that I like to use that does more of these at one time, and this was a complete fluke accident that I stumbled across this, is an attachment for my food processor. the slicing tool. And I was like, what the world? So I still put this in so I have a good grip. And so I take the asparagus, and this one broke, but that's okay. And you slide it down, and it creates as well. Faster. Ooh. And you get more out of each stalk. But be careful, because the blade is a little bit sharper than your vegetable peeler. So just make sure you're aware of that. So yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Yep, one piece just flew away from me, but that's okay, that's okay. We're making asparagus noodles here, people. And they are just flying everywhere. Which is fine. Alright, so I'm going to pause right here, and we'll resume when I'm done. Okay, I'm back. We're all done. I'm going to show you. So here are our asparagus. They're all done now, all nice and shredded. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to put them in a bowl. And let me see if I can find one big enough here. Alright. Set them to the side so I can chop some onions. Because, of course, in my world, no meal is complete without some onions. And it's okay that there's different sizes and textures. It's not a rule when it comes to these. Some pieces here that didn't want to shred all the way. So we're just going to chop those up along with our tops, our tips. And saute those up with the onions. It's going to be great. There we go. Alright, so I got two pieces here that just didn't want to do right, so I'm just gonna chop up in the smaller pieces. And got some tips that were a little longer than I had wanted. Okay, so we're chopping. Then we've got just a sweet onion that I'm gonna chop up, just dice really. And so just maybe about a ½ cup worth, if that, probably not even that much, because I'm not making a lot. Just a little to add some flavor, some sweetness and some flavor to everything. When I actually make the dish, I will have some paprika to add some smokiness to the dish, because I love the way paprika tastes in Italian cooking. It's like amazingly wonderful. And so we're really just prepping. I probably will not fully make this meal until tomorrow. But the awesome part is that everything is done. And all you have to do is literally saute it all together. And that's the awesome part about this quarantine period that we have, is that it's really allowed me to meal prep and have great choices readily available. And it's actually allowed me to sit and think about what's in the pantry. So to recap, what we've done is we took a fresh ingredient, well, two fresh ingredients, the asparagus and the onion, which to me, onion is a staple. It really doesn't count as an ingredient. Asparagus. And we shredded then to make a noodle, which we're going to eat tomorrow. And I'm actually going to season it up with a little bit of onion powder so that can marinate overnight. And some garlic powder. And some oregano. And we'll saute that tomorrow. And just toss that a little bit with your hands. Yep. We'll cook that down tomorrow. And so we took just one fresh ingredient, but everything else were staples in the pantry. So this is a classic dish that you can whip up whenever. It doesn't even have to be just during our quarantine period. And I've got my noodles, which I'm going to make tomorrow fresh. After you cook your noodles, toss them with a little bit of olive oil. And I do some oregano and some garlic salt, garlic powder to add some additional flavor to it. So we've had a little nutritional lesson, a little cooking demo. Tomorrow I will post the finished recipe of our asparagus alfredo that we're making with the chickpeas and with a little bit of chicken in there as well, which is optional. I thank you guys for listening and for taking some time out of your day with me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a great week next week. Stay safe and stay well.